Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Senate Committee on Commerce and Labor. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Buck. Here. Senator Daly. Here. Senator Hammond. Here and loving it. Senator Lang. Here. Senator Pazina. Senator Scheibel. Senator Stone. Chair Spearman.
Senator Scheibel's on her way. Mark her present when she gets here. And so what we're going to do, we were going to start with work session, but I'm going to start with Senator Harris's bill, Senate Bill 381. Let me go through some housekeeping rules. We've got 9 bills on work session today and 5 bills for a hearing. And so I cannot stress this enough. If someone has already said what you want to say, please just say ditto, because what happens is you have 6 people reading the same thing with different words, and you got 15 people behind them that really want to say at least their name, and so then that's not fair to them. I'd also ask if anyone is not a part of the presenters or supporters, please make sure that you give them a chance to speak before we come up and speak. So that's fair. We're going to do 2 minutes each. We're going to have to limit it to 15 minutes. And as I keep saying to everybody, the reason we do this is because we meet every other year. We still are a very antiquated legislature. If we met every year, we would have another chance to do this next year, but we don't. So whatever we don't get done in this session, it'll be 18 months before we get to another session. Just saying. If you have telephones, please make sure that you have them on mute or turn them off. There are several ways that you all know you can participate in person here in Las Vegas. You can participate on video, and you can submit a written comment via the legislative website. Anyone wishing to testify, make sure that you leave a card by the door. When you testify, turn your microphone on and speak clearly. There are people who are listening to us over the internet, and if you don't put your mouth close enough to the microphone and speak clearly, they cannot hear you, and that's rather unfair to them. Additionally, I want to remind everyone that according to NRS 218.085, that it is unlawful for anyone to knowingly misrepresent facts when testifying before a legislative committee, and anyone doing so is guilty of a misdemeanor. The chair or any member of the committee can ask you to document the facts that you stated. And so with that, Senator Harris, we'll go with you, and then we'll come back to work session, okay? Senate Bill 381. Please begin when you're ready.
Good early morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Dallas Harris. I represent District 11 here in the Senate, and I am very pleased to be with you all today to present Senate Bill 381. I hope I can be a model for the rest of the bills today. We're going to keep it nice and simple. This bill does one thing. It says if you're a landlord and you're responsible for maintaining a piece of equipment in the home, maintaining habitability, you cannot pass any of those charges down to your tenant, with one clear exception. If the tenant is responsible for breaking whatever it is that the landlord then has to fix, which is standard practice. However, occasionally landlords have home warranties or they build in a service fee into the lease. And let's say your AC goes out, no fault of your own, but the landlord's still pushing down that $75 call-out fee to the tenant. We're going to say, hey, if by statute it's your responsibility, period. This does not change what landlords are responsible for fixing or not fixing. We're not expanding that. We're not narrowing it. We're just talking about statutorily today. If the landlord's responsible to fix it, let's make sure that they are, in fact, responsible and not passing those fees down to their tenants who statutorily today do not have to pay for those repairs. That is the summary, Madam Chair. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, committee members. Senator Buck.
Thank you, Chair Spearman. So being a small one resident landlord. We had a situation where the dryer lint caught on fire, and thank goodness they were able to get the dryer out. So who's going to mediate this? Because obviously that was tenant error, and so who would mediate?
Thank you for the question, Senator Buck. Dallas Harris for the record. The answer is whoever would mediate it today. This bill would not change that current mechanism. And, you know, to be fair, I am not a landlord, and so I do not know what options are available to mediate those types of issues, but this bill would not change whatever that current status quo is with regards to who the landlord would have recourse from or who the tenant would have recourse from.
Senator Stone?
Thank you. Good morning, Senator Harris. As you know, I'm a landlord, and I support the bill 100%. I just want to see where in the language of the bill does it show that if there was any neglect by the tenant or vandalism. Unfortunately, people disgruntled sometimes. I don't have that happen very often, but I agree with you wholeheartedly that we need to maintain the habitability, including washers and dryers, and I have a full-time crew that does that for me. So I just want to make sure that if something is caused by a tenant by neglect or vandalism, that they would be responsible for that.
Thank you for the question, Senator Stone. Dallas Harris for the record. The committee members, and I apologize for not mentioning this earlier, should have an amendment.
Okay.
If not on your desk, it's definitely up on Nellis.
I trust you. Thank you.
And that is an amendment that I have worked out with the realtors, and it makes very clear in that amendment that negligence of the tenant or anyone who the tenant had in their place with their permission would not fall under this bill.
I appreciate it. And just as extra protection, sometimes people accidentally neglect things. I had a nice young lady that was making tacos in a frying pan, was boiling the oil, went into her room to take a phone call, fell asleep on the bed, and the whole kitchen went up. So she works hard, as a lot of people do. But one thing that we require, it's a very modest expense that the tenants can either provide it or we provide it through our software system, is renter's insurance. It's like $15 a month. The $10,000 in damages was covered by the renter's insurance. I can't recommend enough that tenants take care of that, and I appreciate you bringing this bill. It's a good bill, and responsible landlords should maintain their units and make them habitable. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Senator Scheibel?
Thank you for bringing this bill. So to clarify, this is going to cover cases like mine where our toilet stopped working and backed up and flooded our entire the entire bathroom. And when we called our landlord and said, hey, we need you to fix this, he said, no, you call a plumber, get it fixed, and then send me the bill.
Thank you for the question, Senator Scheibel. Actually would not cover that scenario because the landlord is still in fact paying for the repair. The landlord is covering it in full. Although if the committee would entertain an amendment to say you're not allowed to seek reimbursement, that would be a different bill though.
May I follow up? What if, I'm not saying this happened, but what if we sent him the $750 bill and he said, I'm only going to pay you back 100 of it?
Thank you for the question, Chair Scheibel. Yes, and as long as the backup was not caused by you or anyone else in the unit, yes, this would cover that.
Thank you. Just some questions. And I'm just going to reiterate something that I said, I think it was on Monday, or maybe Friday, one of the days in the last year. Anyway, I had asked Senator Stone, and he did agree to work with some folks because he's a model landlord, and to make sure that we come up with some type of training vehicle, and he has agreed. So you may want to get with him, about the bill and how we make that model landlord language. It's not in statute. It's just something he's going to do out of the goodness of his heart. Okay, so thank you. Anybody else presenting? Okay, so with that, if you'll step back, we will open a hearing now, public testimony for those in support. Anyone in support here in Carson City? Don't see anyone in Las Vegas.
Chair, members of the committee, Jonathan Norman, Nevada Coalition of Legal Service Providers. I'll just ditto the presenter. We support. Thank you.
Anyone else? BPS, anyone on the phones?
If you would like to testify in support of SB 381, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue.
Good morning, Chair Spearman and members of the committee. For the record, Will Fregman representing Battleborn Progress. We are in support of SB 381, a simple yet powerful bill to improve tenants' rights in Nevada. We're proud to stand in support, and we'll simply ditto the presenter and the previous testimony and submit comments in writing. Thank you.
BPS, we have anyone else?
Good morning, Chair Spearman and members of the committee. My name is Ben Innes. That's BENINESS, and I'm the Coalition Coordinator for the Nevada Housing Justice Alliance, calling in support for Senate Bill 381. The NHJA, our coalition of grassroots organizers, community advocates. Our members include the ACLU of Nevada, Battleborn Progress, Faith in Action Nevada, For Our Future Nevada, both Northern Nevada and Las Vegas, DSA, Nevada Homeless Alliance, Progressive Leadership Alliance of Nevada, and more. We work directly with tenants to develop solutions and advocate for community investments that solve the root causes found seeking insecurity. I'd like to echo and ditto the comments of Senator Harris and other callers this morning. It's an important bill that, like other important bills this session, clearly outlines responsibilities between tenants and landlords and would help keep tenants stably housed. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Azim Jessa, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Nevada Realtors Legislative Committee and a Realtor with Urban Nest Realty in Las Vegas. We are fully in support of SB 381 and appreciate Senator Harris working with us and taking our amendment. It addresses specifically what Senator Stone asked, and with this amendment, the Nevada Realtors are fully supporting SB 381. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this morning, and we appreciate your hard work.
Public line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
Thank you. We're going to now go to public testimony in opposition. Don't see anyone here in Carson City. No one's moving to the table in Las Vegas. BPS, do we have anyone on the phones?
If you would like to testify in opposition to SB 381, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. The public line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
Thank you. We'll move now to those in neutral. Anyone here in Carson City? Neutral? Don't see anyone moving to the table. Neutral in Las Vegas? Okay, neutral. Please begin.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, John Sandy with Argentum Partners here today on behalf of the Nevada State Apartment Association. Just want to be quick and thank the senator for reaching out to us at the beginning. We think she's got a good bill. She sought our input, and we just want to thank her for that and urge your neutrality, I guess. No, urge your support. Thank you.
I think that was neutral. BPS, anyone on the phones?
If you would like to testify in neutral for SB 381, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. The public line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
Thank you. Senator Harris?
Thank you all again for taking the time to hear this bill. Have a great day.
Thank you. So we didn't have any opposition, and it was I guess, support for neutral? Anyway, so committee, no, sorry, yeah, let me close out the hearing for Senate Bill 381, and committee, we are in a time crunch. There's no opposition. I'd like to vote this out this morning.
Move
and-
approval.
Pass. Okay, oh, okay. What he just said, okay?
Amended
Okay.
do pass. Thank
All
you.
right, we have a motion from Senator Stone. Do I have a second? Second from Senator Scheibel. Any further questions? All those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. And let the record show that the bill passed unanimously, and I will give the floor statement to Senator Harris. Thank you so much. Now, committee, let's move to our work session. And I will turn it over to our policy analyst, Mr. Cesar Magarejo.
Thank you, Committee Chair. For the record, Cesar Margarejo, Committee Policy Analyst. The first bill on the work session agenda is Senate Bill 57, which revises provisions related to insurance and was sponsored by this committee on behalf of the Division of Insurance of the Department of Business and Industry and was heard on February 22nd, 2023. And this is an omnibus bill of the Division of Insurance. There are several amendments that were submitted by the division, which are attached to this work session document. These amendments delete Section 2 in its entirety, amend Section 3 of Section 4 to keep for the duration, which is proposed to be deleted by the bill, and add and to clarify that certain information should not be disclosed during and after the completion of the investigation. Amend Section 7 to authorize the Commissioner to require an applicant for a license as a managing general agent to file and maintain a surety bond rather than require a surety bond in the sum of $50,000. Next amendment is to delete subsection 12 of Section 11, which would have required each applicant for a certificate of registration and as an administrator to include a copy of any proposed administrative agreement with an insurer that the applicant intends to enter into if issued a certificate of registration. Amendment number 5 is to amend subsection 5 of Section 13 to replace the proposed language prohibiting an administrator from delegating or assigning the rights and obligations of an administrator to a third party with language prohibiting an administrator from delegating its duties as an administrator to an unlicensed administrator. Amendment number 6 is to delete Section 21, which would have prohibited that a cancellation of certain life and health insurance policies is not effective until at least 60 days after the policy holder is provided with a notice of proposed cancellation. Amendment number 7 is to amend subsection 1 of Section 37 to provide that the Nevada Rules of Civil Procedure do not apply to the provisions of NRS 696B.250 regarding the commencement of a delinquency proceeding, petition, or order to show cause. Amendment number 8 is to add a new subsection, Section 43, to define the term structure, and amendment number 9 is to add a new section to the bill to amend NRS 680A.550 governing requirements to delivery to authorize a plan sponsor of a health plan to provide the consent to the mailing of all communications related to the plan by electronic means under certain conditions and require that a notice of cancellation, non-renewal, or termination be sent to the covered party via United States mail unless such notice can be delivered electronically and if notice is sent and received in a manner that is verifiable via a read receipt. And Madam Chair, that's all the amendments.
Thank you. Committee members, any questions? Okay, Senator Scheibel.
Thanks, Chair. And I apologize. I hadn't had a chance to read through this amendment before our work session this morning. I'm not sure how I missed it, but I know that some parties had concerns about the provision in the bill that would kind of expand the confidentiality of insurance companies that had engaged in wrongdoing, and I'm just wondering if this amendment fixes that.
I believe it does, but we have the Division of Insurance here.
Morning, Madam Chair. For the record, my name is Scott Kipper, K-I-P-P-E-R. I'm the Insurance Commissioner. Through you to Senator Scheibel.
Yeah, just go direct.
I'm sorry?
Just go direct, go
Okay,
direct.
thank you. Senator Schreider, with me is Justin Worthington. He's our insurance regulatory liaison, who has been shepherding these bill and the amendments. And I believe Mr. Worthington is prepared to respond to your question.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Senator Scheibel, to your question, we had been in ongoing discussions with several parties regarding Section 2 especially, which would have more broadly expanded confidentiality protections, and that is, we moved to amend that section again to remove all amendments. So that section is removed completely. I know that Section 4 remains, which deals with fraud investigations. The division worked closely with the Attorney General's office on that provision. We did not necessarily hear about any opposition to that from industry. We also spoke with the Nevada Justice Association. Their concerns more lay with Section 2.
Thank you very much. That answers all my questions.
Thank you. Additional questions? I'll entertain a motion. Amend to pass. Have a motion from Vice Chair Lang, and a second from Senator Pizzina. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. And the bill passes unanimously. Thank you, and I will assign the floor statement to Vice Chair Lang.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Cesar Magrejo, Committee Policy Analyst. Our next bill on the work session agenda is Senate Bill 194, which revises provisions relating to step therapy protocols, and sponsored by Senator Orenshaw, Flores, and Krasner. And it was heard on March 31, 2023. There is an amendment submitted by Senator Orenshaw, which is attached to the work session document. And to amend, the first amendment is to amend paragraph C of subsection 2 of sections 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8 to increase from 72 hours to 2 business days the time frame when a health insurer is required to reply to a request made or an appeal submitted by an insured and his or her attending practitioner. Second amendment is to amend subsection 3 of sections 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8 to replace that with whether, which clarifies that authority for the insurer to determine justification based upon documentation providers submit. And amendment number 3 is conceptual amendment to add new provisions to the bill to explicitly exclude the Public Employees Benefits Program from the provisions of this bill.
Thank you. Committee members, questions? Okay. Seeing none, entertain a motion to amend to pass. Motion by Senator Daley. Do I hear a second? Second from Vice Chair Lang. Any further questions? All those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. And the motion passes unanimously. And I will give the floor statement to 194 to Senator Orenshaw.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Cesar Magrejo, Committee Policy Analyst. Our next bill is Senate Bill 259, which revises provisions relating to alcoholic beverages, sponsored by Senator Don Loop, and was heard on March 29, 2023. There is a mock-up that was prepared by the Legal Division of the Legislative Counsel Bureau. Amendment number 1, which was also discussed during the bill's hearing, is to retain language in subsection 2 of section 1. Amendment number 2 is to amend subsection 6 of section 1 to authorize instead of require the board to adopt certain regulations, ensuring that a winery is in compliance with federal law, as well as to create a certification for wine produced, blended, or aged from fruit grown or honey produced in the state. In addition, include that the certification be passed on the review of filings which the applying winery is required to provide to the Federal Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau. The following, and there is, as I mentioned, there is a mock-up attached. And Madam Chair, that's all the amendments.
Thank you. Committee questions? I'll entertain a motion to amend to pass. Have a motion by Vice Chair Lang. Do I hear a second? Second from Senator Buck. Any further questions? All those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. And the bill passes unanimously, and we'll assign the floor statement to Senator Don Darrell Loop.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next bill is Senate Bill 274, which revises provisions relating to industrial insurance. This bill was sponsored by Senator Daley and was heard on March 29, 2023. Senator Daley has proposed several amendments, which are included in the draft mock-up that's attached to this work session document. The amendments are as follows. Number 1 is to delete Section 1. Number 2 is to amend Section 2 to increase from $15,000 to $17,000 the minimum, and decrease from $200,000 to $120,000 the maximum for administrative fines and benefit penalties for violating workers' compensation laws and regulations. In addition, amend subsection 4 of Section 2 to increase from 10 days to 15 days the time frame for when the benefit penalty must be paid directly to the claimant after the Administrative Division of Industrial Insurance, Department of Business and Industry makes a determination. Amendment number 3 is to add a new section to the bill to amend Chapter 61D of the Nevada Revised Statutes by adding a new section to ensure transparency and accountability by requiring the administrator to publish information about benefit penalties imposed on various entities under NRS 616D, C.120. Correction, I believe that's 616D.120. And amendment number 4 is to add a new section to the bill to amend NRS 616D.130, governing investigation of alleged violations and determination of the administrator, to require that upon receiving a complaint or suspicion of a violation, the administrator must promptly inform relevant parties, initiate an investigation within 30 days, and after completing the investigation, the administrator must deliver their determination, which includes any settlement agreement, to the claimant's employer or the insured entity as applicable, and the Commissioner of Insurance. In addition, amend subsection 2 of NRS 616D.130 to delete the reference paragraphs A, B, C, or D of subsection 1 of NRS 616D.120. Amendment number 5 is to add a new section to the bill to amend NRS 616D.140, governing benefit penalties, to amend subsection 2 to increase from 100 days to 120 days the time frame from when an aggrieved person can file a request for a hearing before an appeals officer after the date that the unanswered written request was mailed to the administrator. In addition, add a new subsection to provide that if an appeal upholds the benefit penalty, the responsible party must pay double the original penalty to the claimant within 15 days of the decision. If a settlement is reached, the claimant must be paid within 15 days of the agreed date. Failure to pay within the specified time limits may result in the suspension of certificates issued by the Commissioner to the insurer or third-party administrator pending investigation and further disciplinary action. Amendment number 6 is to add a new section to the bill to provide that the provisions of this bill apply only to actions and omissions by insurers, employers, or third-party administrators for claims occurring on or after the bill's effective date. The provisions of this bill shall not be construed to have any retroactive effect on claims that took place before the effective date. In addition, sections 1 through 5 of the Act become effective upon passage for administrative tasks and on January 1, 2024 for all other purposes. Madam Chair, that's all the amendments.
Thank you. Committee members, any questions or comments? Yeah, I just have a couple of questions, and I guess I'll direct this to you, Senator Daley. So on number 3, amendment number 3, transparency and accountability. One of the things that happens all too often is that transparency and accountability has the definition assigned to it by the person who's supposed to do it, and not the people for whom it would benefit. So can you speak to that, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, so in the discussions that we had with the stakeholders, and included gaming chambers, groups that represent various insurers, including self-insured groups and self-insured employers, we talked about making these benefit penalties, which were previously confidential, public. So the administrator is the one that's making the determination, so we left it with the administrator. But when these investigations are started, or if there's a settlement, there's a determination, we're sending that information to the Division of Insurance, the Insurance Commissioner, and in several conversations with him, and he can come up and speak if he wants to, he's assured me that when he gets those determinations and notices that it's going to put him on notice with those providers. And if he sees a pattern, that he has told me that he is going to move in an aggressive direction to remedy those types of things. Because the whole thing, if we're giving up the right to sue, we need to add transparency. We need to have the enforcement, because it's really not about the penalties. It's about paying the claim so you don't get the penalty. But if you don't pay the claim and get the penalty, you're running the risk of having your certificate revoked or suspended by the insurance commissioner, and that's our goal on this.
Thank you. Any other questions? Because I have just one more. So that means that the NDAs, well, there won't be any NDAs, or will there, under certain conditions?
We didn't anticipate that there would be. We said that any settlement needs to, or determination is public. They have to put it on their website, and they have to notify the employer, the insured, and the commissioner of insurance. So I think the requirement to do that they wouldn't be allowed to do an NDA, and if somebody tried to and said they didn't have to, that would be against our intent. If we want to add some language in that says, notwithstanding any non-disclosure agreement, you have to provide this to the insurance commissioner, I would be fine with that.
I'll leave that up to you, but yeah, I just because the testimonies that we heard on that bill were heartbreaking, and I guess one of the most heartbreaking parts was the people who had been injured were part of the taxpaying base of the third-party administrator via whatever municipality or county, whatever. And so people who were paying the salaries of the people who said no were indeed the people who had been harmed or grieved by that. And just one last comment, and then I'll entertain a motion. The people that we saw come and testify that day, particularly the young lady who had a dystonic limbs or body, I know that we can't go back and do that, but I would just like to put on the record that anyone who was responsible for that, if you have prayer beads or anything, I would suggest using those, because something like that is just unacceptable. Just unacceptable. I don't even know how anybody goes to sleep at night, having denied her an opportunity to live life to the fullest. So we can't go back and fix those where they've been done wrong. But I would certainly ask those who were part of the aggrieved, or those who were responsible for aggrieving those persons, I would really hope that they would go back and take a look at it. And I think we had a police officer call in and talk about something. Had a couple of police officers here, and then another one call in and talk about how they had been waiting. I think one said he hadn't been paid for like 3 years. And so those are the kinds of things that I think are so obtuse and so antithetical to what we're supposed to be doing when we're in charge of things that affect people's lives. So we can't do anything about the past, but I certainly hope that the people who should have done something will go back and take a look at what should have been done but wasn't done. And I'm reminded of a sign that I saw at one time that said, quote, I saw that, end quote, karma. So.
If I can follow up on that as well. Yeah, I agree. I think there's a special place in Dante's Inferno for those people. You're right. And I did talk with Kim Franco yesterday, and it's not, about increasing the penalties and various things. We're trying to get to a place where they pay the claims, and the way we try to get them to do that is through the penalty, but we have to have enforcement. If we don't, then we're spinning our wheels. And I did not forget, Madam Chair, so we are going to take a look at it. I did get some information from the insurance commissioner on retaliation yesterday, so we're going to be looking to change that or add that on the assembly side. We're just running short over here. And we'll bring up that non-disclosure issue as well with the stakeholders. We'll have a follow-up meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Additional questions, comments? Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion. Amend do pass. Have a motion by Vice Chair Lang and have a second by Senator Scheible. Any further discussion? Senator Stone.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I certainly appreciate the great efforts of my colleague here to hold employers accountable that are not paying the awards that have been determined are due to those who have suffered a work injury. I think that by just increasing the fines is going to get the employer's attention. I just don't think litigation is the answer, as it's just going to increase cost. I believe you hit them with a stick with a fee, but not with a sledgehammer with litigation. And for those reasons, I won't be able to support the bill today. But thank you for presenting it.
Thank you, appreciate that. And if I can just, my own response, yes, Senator Stone.
Section 1 was deleted.
Section 1 was deleted. I'm sorry, I was here till 11:30 last night, so. I'm going to vote no, Madam Chair, because I haven't had a chance to review the amendments, but I reserve the right to change my vote on the floor, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. And a lot of people say it's all about the money. And if you're the aggrieved person, you're correct, because you're about to lose your house, lose your home, lose your car, lose a lot of other things. And unless there are people who will take the case of someone who otherwise would not be able to pay to have an attorney, then people who can afford to wait 2 or 3 years, that's what they do. And then small people don't get a chance to do it. One last comment. I always hear people say, well, I'm a taxpayer. And they usually say that because they're a homeowner. Well, everybody's a taxpayer. When you go fill up your car, you pay taxes. When you buy groceries, you pay taxes. You buy clothes, you pay taxes. So everybody's a taxpayer. And I just want to put that on the record and be clear, because what this bill is really doing is it is addressing some concerns and indeed some injustices that have been done to people who are taxpayers. And that's, that is unconscionable to me, just unconscionable. So, if it's all about the money, well, yep, if it's your money and you're not getting it, yeah, it is. Senator Buck.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am going to vote no today. However, I reserve my right on the floor. Thank you.
Additional comments? I'll entertain a motion. Men do pass.
So moved.
Have a motion from Senator Scheibel. Senator Lang, Vice Chair Lang. Motion, Senator Lang, second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed, nay? Let the record show that all in favor, with the exception of Senator Stone, Senator Buck, and Senator Hammond. Okay. And I'll give the floor statement to Senator Daley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Cesar Margarejo, Committee Policy Analyst. Our next bill is Senate Bill 290. Senate Bill 290 provides for the regulation of employer-integrated wage access providers. It's sponsored by Senator Canizaro and Senator Lang, and it was heard on April 5th, 2023. There is a amendment submitted by Senator Canizaro which replaces and revises the various sections of the bill. This is the similar mock-up that was presented during the bill hearing, just with some specific color coordination that we typically use in the Legislative Council Bureau. In addition, there's an additional amendment that was submitted last night that's not included in this mock-up, and this new language will be included in Section 17, subsection 9, which is to include that this section does not apply to a depository institution, the deposits of which are federally insured up to the applicable limits, or privately insured by an insurer approved pursuant to NRS 672.755. I'm sure this is all the amendments.
Thank you. Committee members, questions? Concerns, comments? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to amend do pass. I have a motion from Senator Pazina, have a second from Senator Daley. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. And the motion passes unanimously, and we'll give the floor statement to Senator Lang or to the majority leader if she so chooses. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Cesar Margarejo, Committee Policy Analyst. Our next bill is Senate Bill 33, which revises provisions relating to virtual currency, sponsored by Senator Neal and was heard on April 5th, 2023. Senator Neal has proposed several amendments, most of which of these were discussed during the bill hearing, except for amendment number 1, which is to amend section 10 to include that the provisions of this chapter do not apply to broker-dealers registered with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. And then amendment number 8 is also new, which is to delete subsection 6 of section 15, which would require virtual currency business to include a statement noting that technology difficulties could prevent access to the virtual currency within the required written disclosure. And Madam Chair, there's also some language that needs to be struck out on amendment number 7. We are striking out or as funds for retirement investments. I'm sure that's all the amendments.
Thank you. Committee members, questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion, amend to pass. Senator Stone, did you have a question? Okay. Amend to pass. Motion by Vice Chair Lang. Do I have a second? Second from Senator Daly. I'll change that to Senator Stone. I think I saw your hand.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I certainly appreciate the efforts of Senator Neal to try to protect those that are going into the purchase of virtual currencies. I'm not a big fan of virtual currencies. I know it's very expensive to get into it, but the fund is created to try to reimburse those that have lost money because they've been scammed. I think is noble, but 5% of the gross revenues, I think, is very expensive. And you make investments, and there's always risks involved, and you got to do your homework and you got to do diligence. And I don't think we need to create a fund to make those that didn't do their proper due diligence whole. So for those reasons, I won't be able to support the bill today.
Thank you. Comments? Senator Hammond?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to I've been talking to Senator Neal some more about this, and I'm going to support it right now, but reserve the right to change my mind when it comes to the floor. Thanks.
Thank you. And one of the things I think that Senator Neal said during the presentation is that there have been some unscrupulous persons involved in this industry, and I know of a couple of professionals who did their due diligence, but when you have people that have a front-facing website and then have several other things behind it, without some type of regulation, it's very difficult to protect them. So this wasn't like there were people who were of modest income, but I personally know of a couple that I've had to work with and point them to the AG's office that did due diligence, but you had some unscrupulous people that were doing it. So I'm going to be voting yes for that reason. Because I think anytime someone has been aggrieved, I think that we ought to try to do as much as we can to make them whole. And so I saw your hand, Senator Stone. I thought you were seconding, but in light of so I will take the second hand, which is Senator Daly. All those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, nay? Nay. And the motion carries. No, I'm sorry. We've got nay from Senator Stone, Senator Buck, and I think that's all. Okay. And I'll assign the floor statement to Senator Neal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Cesar Magrejo, Committee Policy Analyst. Our next bill is Senate Bill 352, which revises provisions relating to prescription drugs, specifically contraceptive drugs. And this bill is sponsored by Senator Scheibel and Senator Stone, and it was heard on March 31, 2023. Senator Stone has submitted several amendments which are attached to the work session document. Amendment number 1 and 2 were those proposed during the bill's hearing. Amendment number 3, 4, and 5 are new and are in addition to the previous 2 amendments. Amendment number 3 is to add 2 new paragraphs to paragraph B of subsection 1, section 15, to require the charge to the patient to be calculated by one of the following methods. Number 1, the insurer charges the insured 1 copay for each prescription of multiple months in a planned year. If the prescription is well tolerated and the provider authorizes a refill during the same planned year or portion thereof, the patient shall not be charged an additional copay. And number 2, the insurer charges a copay for each month of oral contraceptives dispensed in a planned year. Amendment number 4 is to amend subsection 2 of sections 6, 7, and 8 to replace network plan of the insurer or network plan of the carrier as applicable within these respective sections with network or participating pharmacies contracted with the insurer. And amendment number 5 is to amend subsection 2 of sections 9 through 12 to add and/or the network of participating pharmacies contracted with the insurer. And Madam Chair, that's all the amendments.
Thank you, and I think the amendments and probably discussion during the presentation address the concerns of someone who said if you give them the full 12 months and then 2 weeks later, then, so I think we've addressed that, correct? Okay, I'll entertain a motion. Have a motion from Senator Stone. Do I have a second? Second from Senator Pizzina. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. And the motion carries. We'll give the floor statement to Senator Stone. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Cesar Malgarejo, Committee Policy Analyst. Our next bill is Senate Bill 355. This bill revises provisions relating to financial services, and it's sponsored by Senators Lang and Hammond, and it was heard on March 31, 2023. There are several amendments submitted by Connor Kane, representing Nevada Bankers Association, and Brian Reeder, representing Nevada Credit Union League. The first amendment is to amend subsection 5 of section 3 to replace existing provisions with provisions providing immunity to financial institutions and their officers, employees, and designated reporters from any criminal or administrative liability for submitting a report or holding or delaying a transaction for a customer when financial exploitation is suspected. In addition, the amendment sets forth certain protected actions taken by financial institutions and their officers, employees, and designated reporters. Amendment number 2 is to amend subsection 6 of section 3 to require that at the request of the local office of the Aging and Disability Service Division of the Department of Health and Human Services or local law enforcement agency to extend delay in a requested disbursement of transaction be submitted in writing. In addition, amend paragraph B to provide that delay expires upon the written request of the local office of ADSD or the local law enforcement agency that requested the extension. Amendment number 3 is to amend subsection 7 of section 3 to delete provisions requiring a designated reporter to consult with or receive no objection from the local office of ADSD or local law enforcement agency. Instead, add that a designated reporter may proceed with the requested disbursement if they reasonably believe that the requested disbursement or transaction will not result in the exploitation of the older person or vulnerable person. Amendment number 4 is to amend subsection 9 of section 3 to replace shall with may, which will authorize instead of require a designated reporter to consider certain circumstances when determining whether an older person or vulnerable person has been exploited. And amendment number 5 is to add a new section to the bill to amend Nevada Revised Statute 162A.370 governing liability for refusal to accept acknowledged power of attorney, to add a new paragraph to subsection 2 to provide that a person is not required to accept an acknowledged power of attorney if the person makes a report of known or suspected exploitation of an older or vulnerable person or has actual knowledge of such reports under NRS 657.290 or holds or delays a transaction due to suspected financial exploitation under NRS 657.290. Madam Chair, that's all the amendments.
Thank you. Committee members, questions? Comments? I'll entertain a motion to amend to pass. Have a motion from Senator Buck. Have a second from him. Senator Stone. I'm not sorry, not Senator Stone. Both y'all have mustaches in it. Senator Hammond, did you second? Okay. All right, just want to make sure you were seconding, not raising your hand to say you're going to vote against it. But anyway, yeah. So Senator. Yeah, it's early. Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye. Opposed, nay. And we will assign the floor statement. Senator Hammond, why don't you take it? Yeah. And it is my hope and prayer that this will not be the last time we see such collegiality and bipartisanship when we're talking about legislating for the citizens of Nevada. So thank you, Senators Hammond, I got it, Hammond and Senator Lang and Senator Scheibel and Senator Stone for bringing forth this model legislation. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Cesar Magrejo, Committee Policy Analyst. Our next bill is Senate Bill 402, which creates the Cannabis Mentorship Pilot Program. And this bill is sponsored by Senator Spearman and Assemblyman Miller. It was heard on April 7th, 2023. There are some amendments which were discussed during the bill's hearing. There's a draft mock-up attached provided by Scott Rutledge from Argentum Partners, which is to amend sections 3, 9, 11 to replace the term employment with mentorship, as well as replace terminate or terminates or termination with completed, concluded, or completion as appropriate. And amendment number 2 is to amend subsection 1 and 3 of section 7 to add references to Nevada Revised Statute 678B.323, which governs licensing of cannabis consumption lounges. Amendment number 3 is to delete section 10, which proposed that sponsors would not be subject to disciplinary action for violations committed by participants during the mentorship period. And Madam Chair, that's all the amendments.
Thank you. Committee members, questions? I'll entertain a motion to amend to pass. So moved. I have a motion by Vice Chair Lang. Do I have a second? Second from Senator Scheibel. Any further discussion? Senator Stone?
Thank you again, Madam Chair. I certainly support the reentry program and believe in second chances. The only issue I have is with the tax credits and the public underwriting such a program. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Further discussion? With that, committee members, all those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, nay? Nay. I have a no from Senator Buck, Senator Stone. That's all. So the motion carries with those two exceptions, and if I'm not presiding that day, I'll take the floor statement. Otherwise, I think I'll give it to Senator Pazina. Is that okay? We're just going to be in a real brief recess for about 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. So we are back in order. Is he not here? 427. So we will now go to open the hearing on Senate Bill 310. Senator Gocochea, please begin when you're ready.
Excuse me. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Senator Pete Gocochea, representing District 19, and I will bringing Senate Bill 310. And we will be working off a conceptual amendment. I think you all have in front of you. This was brought forward. It was started out as a lengthy bill and only got longer as they tried to tweak the language in it. And I'll be honest with you, I'm way over my skis on this one. I don't do dentistry. But I have with me, excuse me. I'm sorry. Anyway, I'll turn it over to Dr. David White and Julie Mueller from TMCC Dental Program. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Dr. David White, former chair of the American Dental Association Council on Government Affairs and former president of the Nevada Dental Association. While being chairman of the Council of Government Affairs during the COVID crisis, we saw a lot of decimation of our culture and staff, like many small businesses did. And during that particular time, I dedicated myself to looking at opportunities to bring back opportunities to go ahead and keep our offices together from the COVID crisis. And that's where with this bill, it gives an excellent opportunity to do more things with our staff. And that would also increase access to care. But we want to make sure that it's done at the highest standards and under the safest provisions. And so I'm going to go ahead and yield the majority of the time to Julie Muley and also to Lancette to speak greater at length about the specifics within the bill. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair. My name is Julie Muley. For the record, I'm from Truckee Meadows Community College, TMCC, and I'm the academic program director for the dental assisting program. I've been at the school since 1995. I started in dental assisting in 1975 as a senior in high school and have loved it ever since. And I have 8 pages, which I will not read. I will heed the Madam Chair's suggestion to be as brief as possible, which is troubling for a teacher because we tend to be long-winded. I am here representing dental assisting and in collaboration with the Dental Hygiene Association and the Nevada Dental Association. We would like to propose an expanded functions dental assisting credential for Nevada. We currently have no requirements to become a dental assistant in Nevada. And even though there's been a decline in the workforce for dental assisting since 2015, but it's certainly a huge decline since 2020. It's interesting that we have no barriers to become a dental assistant, and yet there's still a decline. And after looking at a lot of research, a joint research was released last fall. It was an effort from the American Dental Association, American Dental Hygiene Association, Dental Assisting National Board, among other entities. They surveyed over 8,000 dental professionals, hygiene and assisting, to try to determine what the issue is nationally with the workforce shortage. They determined that there are several issues. The biggest being salary, because the paradigm for dental assisting has shifted from single women who were living at home or who had spouses and didn't need the same income that people do now. Now, dental assistants are many gendered, with children, without children, and they need to support themselves. So they do need a higher salary and benefits. In the last 2 years, salaries have risen dramatically for dental assistants. Benefit packages have increased, again, dramatically. So why the shortage? I can speak to all the literature which says dental assistants want to be recognized. They want to be productive. They want to be able to make things happen and to care for patients. They want to feel a need to be where they're at in their position. So in Nevada, we are one of the only states with a very robust list of tasks for dental assistants without having to have any training. So that, again, has not been enough for dental assistants to want to be in the profession. And it appears that states that do have the expanded functions dental assistant credential have more activity. It doesn't mean that they're all apples to apples and oranges to oranges, because there are differences in expanded functions between the states. Some are very minimal, and our proposal is pretty robust. And we feel that it will make a big difference in the workforce shortage. People will feel validated. They will want to be part of this. They will actually get to have a place to grow without leaving dental assisting. And so we are hopeful that this will help alleviate some of the workforce shortage in our state. And I'm going to look at my notes real quickly. In addition to providing access to care, which is a big thing. Right now, 1 in 3 dentists who are surveyed say that the lack of a full schedule is not because of lack of patients, it's because of being understaffed. So the fact that they are so understaffed, they can't see as many patients as they might normally see, let alone try to clear the backlog that was created from the pandemic. So by allowing people to have this expanded credential, you have people who will be qualified and trained to provide services to patients to actually clear some of that backlog and get things back on course. There have been a lot of folks surveyed who say that some of the backlog in those areas as well. And just to give you a little bit of an idea of what we have been trying to do at TMCC to help rural areas, we are now in talks with the Nevada State Dental Hygienist to create a pipeline for starting with three communities, 3 counties, Elko, Churchill, and White Pine County, to take on 45 students from the high schools and to provide them with dual credit and to be able to teach them how to become dental assistants so they can learn that for their urban their rural areas. And we've also started a short-term training program to get people the foot in the door kind of thing. And also, as Dr. White mentioned, safety. Patient safety is as important as any of the other reasons for having expanded functions and for doing it well. There are pathways we built into this bill, and they address a number of different things, including on-the-job trained assistants, because it was identified that the schools probably cannot fill the need with graduates for the workforce shortage in Nevada. So we are encouraging on-the-job trained assistants with a certain amount of hours to be able then to take the expanded functions training and become expanded functions assistants in their own offices. So we've looked at these pathways. We are really comfortable at this point with the training because, again, public safety is important. You don't necessarily want to just do this by affidavit and have a list of tasks that people sign off on because there's no standard with that. And we're really interested in having a standard that can be measured so we can assess how this is affecting Nevada. Do we need to change things as the time goes by? So we are very interested in having this move forward. And one more page. I have lots of facts and figures, but I don't want to see your eyeballs roll back in your head. So this is also a really great group effort between the 3 entities, Nevada Dental Association, Nevada Dental Hygiene Association, and the dental assistants in Nevada. And it's the first time we've ever come together in complete and 100% agreement on something that we hope will benefit the people of this state and dental assisting. And that's all I have to say right now, but I do have lots of pages if you have questions.
That's okay. Whoever provides the music, thank you. Okay, any other presenters?
Good morning, Madam Chair and Senate Committee members. Thank you for your time today. I am Lancette Van Gilder, VANGUILDER, representing the Nevada Dental Hygienists Association. I'm here to provide full support for SB 310 with the friendly amendment. To save time, I did submit a whole entire letter yesterday. I'm not going to read it as well, but I just want to touch on a few key points. We do have a huge oral health crisis in our state. All 17 counties in Nevada are still designated as dental healthcare professional shortage areas. In addition, Nevada continues to rank among the worst in the nation for oral health. Unfortunately, I've been involved in Nevada for over 20 years, and that has not changed. We are really excited about new innovative solutions to help get more workers in our rural area. I'm a dental hygienist. I grew up in rural Nevada. I want to thank Dr. White, the Nevada Dental Association, and Senator Gogachia for bringing forward this legislation, and although it'll benefit rural areas, it'll help every part of our state. Expanded functions will help fill the gaps in the urban, the rural, the frontier, and tribal communities. There are medical reasons why we need to improve access to dental care. We know that poor oral health is highly linked to things like Alzheimer's, dementia, different types of cancers, stomach, pancreatic, colon cancer. We know the mouth is connected to the rest of the body, and research continues to show that oral health is critical for overall health. And we have a massive workforce shortage. We're here telling you that we have a crisis and we need help. We do not want to remain stagnant. We need to grow and evolve and transform like other areas of medicine have done so. Expanded functions can help provide educational and career opportunities, professional development, and hopefully reduce burnout among the pandemic. If any of you have been to your dental hygienist lately, you will see that we are covered from head to toe with shields and goggles and gowns. Dentistry stepped up to the plate in the pandemic, and we were in people's mouths when we didn't even know what the virus was all about. We stepped up, we wanted to do more, and we're still asking to have that ability with a whole fully staffed dental team. SB 310 is a bill to increase access to high-quality, safe, and effective dental care. The bill language focuses on the highest standards of education. All three entities are here to say we want the highest level of education by removing as many barriers as we can. You will see in the amendments that have been drafted by all three leading organizations in Nevada. The amendments are listed by section and are clearly listed. The intent is there for you to see why we have these amendments there. You will also see a 2/3 majority vote is required and a fiscal note is attached. That is not for the state of Nevada or for our taxpayers. That is for the Nevada State Board of Dental Examiners. Because we have a new provider that's being developed, we will have to have some Nevada State Board of Dental Examiners administrative work to be able to administer that. And we went through the same thing back in 2019 when the Nevada Legislature passed the master's degree level, mid-level provider for dental hygienists. So your professional associations, all of us are here today asking for your help. We want to remain competitive with initiatives to recruit and retain a highly skilled dental workforce like all the states around us have already done. We want to continue to work towards improving access to care, especially in our rural communities. And we want to step up and have the ability to address the needs of our communities. And I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Committee, questions? Senator Stone?
Thank you for the presentation. And can you just tell me what are some of the scope enhancements of a contemporary dental assistant with the new expanded function dental assistants? What more can they do?
They will be able to use an ultrasonic to remove excess bonding after removal of brackets from orthodontics. They will be able to place, condense, and contour direct restorative materials such as the white fillings that you see called composite fillings, silver amalgam fillings. They will be able to adjust prosthetic devices such as dentures extraorally. They will be able to provide bleaching for patients, and those are just a few of the enhancements.
I appreciate that. By the way, the ultrasonic plaque removers are unbelievable.
They are something.
And then is there any ratio of nursing assistants per dentist? Can a dentist oversee 2 or 3 of them at a time, or is it 1-to-1?
For the expanded functions dental assistants, that's something that we talked about as a fail-safe for practices that will be determined within the board. We're looking at possibly 2 per practice, 2 per dentist. We're going to look at that ratio. Some states have 2 per dentist in an office. So it just depends on how we flesh that out.
And then one final question. Thank you, Madam Chair. For dental hygienists, they're going to be able to write prescriptions. This is not, they can't prescribe any controlled substances, but basically it's just for maintenance issues. Does that include antibiotic therapy?
Van Gilder, for the record, through the chair to the senator, there is no ability to write.
Go direct. Okay.
Thank you. There is no ability to write prescriptions for antibiotics or for controlled substances for pain medications. It would be primarily for preventives, for fluoride. There are new gels and therapies to help prevent gum disease, to help prevent cavities, so it would be for prevention of disease and injury.
I'll just say that I have a dental hygienist that I try to see every 6 months. I think she's fantastic, and I think this scope enhancement is a good one, and I appreciate you being here today.
Committee members, additional questions? Okay, do you have anyone else who's presenting? Okay. Then we'll step back, and those in support, please come forward. And this bill sounds a lot like the one that our former colleague, Senator Julie Ratty, brought, I think, in 2019.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I wish I could blame the cough on my teeth, but I think I have to blame it on the snooze, so thank you, and I appreciate it.
Okay. Anyone here in Carson City in support? I don't see anyone moving to the table in Las Vegas. BPS, anyone on the phones in support? Senate Bill 310.
If you would like to testify in support of SB 310, press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Public line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
We'll come now to Carson City and anyone who is here in opposition or anyone in Las Vegas in opposition. Don't see anyone. BPS, anyone on the phones?
If you would like to testify in opposition to SB 310, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. The public line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
Thank you. We'll move now to those who are neutral. Anyone here in Carson City? Don't see anyone moving to the table in Las Vegas. BPS, anyone on the phone? Neutral.
If you would like to testify in neutral for SB 381, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I'm Alex Kanita with the law firm Lewis Roca, testifying on behalf of the Nevada State Board of Dental Examiners. If Senate Bill 310 passes, this board would be mandated to continue to protect the public by regulating and licensing these types of auxiliary licensees. The board supports any proposal that increases the accessibility and affordability of dental services to Nevadans. The Dental Board is researching expanded functions dental assisting programs currently being offered in the U.S. and other state dental board statutes in order to better provide input to the respective committee members on qualifications and licensing requirements. The board also wants to be certain that the duties proposed in Senate Bill 310 are actually taught in the expanded functions dental assistant programs. This bill includes the ability for dental hygienists to prescribe not controlled substance prescriptions. The board is researching if hygiene programs have an adequate pharmacy educational component to grant this practice to hygienists. If there's anything we find needs to be verified, we will be sure to address that with the bill sponsor. Again, the board fully supports improved access to care while keeping to its mandate to protect the public by ensuring appropriate licensing, education, and training requirements. Thank you.
Public line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
Thank you. Senator Goicoechea, closing comments?
No, thank you, Madam Chair, and just reflecting the fact that we did have the three groups really come together, work on this bill. I think it will expand healthcare, dental healthcare across the state, all regions, and ask you to please support it and see if we can get it out. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. And with that, we'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 310, and we'll open the hearing on Senate Bill 328. Revises the procedures by which the Cannabis Compliance Board is required to adopt, amend, or repeal regulations. Senator Titus and I think Senator Nguyen stepped outside, so. Yeah. Okay. Please begin when you all are ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hello, Chair Spearman and members of the Senate Commerce and Labor Committee. I am Senator Dr. Robin Titus. I represent Senate District 17. It includes all of Douglas County, Lyon County, Churchill County, Mineral County, Esmeralda counties, and part of Nye, specifically Tonopah. Here at the table with me is Senator Rochelle Nguyen from Senate District 3. We're here to present SB 328. SB 328 revises the procedures by which the Cannabis Compliance Board is required to adopt, amend, or repeal regulations. We brought forward SB 328 after receiving many statements of concern and complaints regarding the regulations and fines that the Cannabis Compliance Board had administered. That led to the question of how these regulations were passed. The first laws in Nevada regarding cannabis were passed in 2002. AB 453 established medical marijuana in the Department of Agriculture. In 2019, after passing through a ballot initiative, recreational marijuana became legal. AB 533 then created the Cannabis Advisory Board. At the time, it was a new industry, and the regulatory process was in its infancy. It was decided to place the board in the provisions of the Nevada Administrative Procedures Act, with the idea that they would function very similar to gaming. NRS 678 is a section that creates their special regulation process. This bill, SB 328, eliminates their exemption from the Administrative Procedure Act. It would then require any regulations that they pass go to the Legislative Commission. To be clear, the Legislative Commission has a right to review the regulations now, but only if they are requested. Madam Chair, I'm going to now turn the presentation over to Senator Nguyen. There is an amendment that she's going to discuss, and she'll further discuss the bill. Thank you very much for your time.
Good morning, Chair Spearman and Vice Chair Lang and members of the Commerce and Labor Committee. I'm excited to be here. I never in a million years thought I'd be sitting at this table with Senator Titus talking about weed, but here we are. I think this comes from the best of the policymaking conversations that we can have in this building. It came from a combination of conversations that I had with you, Chair Spearman, after the presentation of Senate Bill 195 in this committee on behalf and with some of these regulations. And a lot of these committee members here asked questions about how these fines are developed, how these fees are developed, what the schedule is. Can we see this? I remember having a conversation with the chair about how when you go to a store and you go to a restaurant, you see what the menu item is and you know what your cost is. And is there that same kind of transparency here? And so we tried to look and see what that was. Fast forward, we were in a budget hearing and we were listening to the CCB present their budget, and there were other additional questions about some of these regulatory fines and fees and who made those determinations, how they were determined, and that's when the conversation first came up for the foundation of this bill. So, and I think this bill, like I said, comes from the best of the kind of conversations that we can have about policy in this building, collaboratively, in a bipartisan effort to solve real problems for our state. So there was an amendment that is proposed. It is a friendly amendment. There are copies in here if the committee doesn't have it, and it is uploaded on Nellis. We did confirm that. It was submitted by the Nevada Cannabis Association, and like I said, it is a friendly amendment. But essentially what Senate Bill 328 does is it removes the CCB's exemption from NRS 233B, which is an Administrative Procedure Act for the purposes of adopting regulations, but not with respect to adjudicating contested cases. In 2019, the legislature created the Cannabis Compliance Board, as you heard Senator Titus talk about, with the passage of Assembly Bill 533. The legislation modeled the CCB after the Gaming Control Board, which in many ways, including exempting it from the 233B chapter. There are 3 that I can think of offhand that do not have to go through the Legislative Commission and are not guided by the 233B chapter. One would be the Gaming Control Board. The other would be currently the Cannabis Compliance Board. And the third would be the Nevada Department of Corrections. Although in the case of the CCB, there are currently still potential for Legislative Commission review. So anyone that has sat on the Legislative Commission, and I think there are a couple of you that have previously sat on the Legislative Commission, what that means is if the chair or any of the members of the legislature that sit on the commission want to bring in any regulations to be reviewed, they can do that, but they don't automatically go there. For example, for people that have had bills or policies that have passed in the, during this legislative session that involve DHHS, those regulatory provisions all go to the Legislative Commission for approval before they are implemented. And so it's just that legislative oversight that we are asking for the Cannabis Compliance Board. The Administrative Procedure Act establishes minimum procedures for adopting regulations. It provides uniformity in administrative rulemaking and opportunities for public participation in the process. I think many of these members that are sitting here today have heard from the cannabis industry that there is a lack of transparency, there is a lack of voice in the rulemaking process and the regulatory structure, and this would allow for it, and it would actually come to our body. We would be able to hear that and ensure that public process is open. The Act also provides for a clear process of adjudicating disputes before administrative agencies and for judicial review. With any agency, there's concern with body, and the Administrative Procedures Act is that safeguard against that accumulation of unchecked power in one administrative agency. With that, Chair Spearman, I will now walk you through some of the sections of the bill. We do have an amendment that makes one change to the language of the bill, which I'll address when we reach that relevant section. So Section 1 amends NRS 233B.039 to remove the Cannabis Compliance Board from the list of agencies exempted from the requirements of 233B. Subsection 6 of Section 1 limits that exemption to adopting regulations but does not change the CCB's existing process for contested cases. This is the section we intend to change through the amendment. The amendment removes the language in subsection 6 in order to apply the Administrative Procedure Act to contested cases as well. We wanted to make sure, again, there was that extra level of like balance and oversight that we think the 233B chapter allows for. Section 2 repeals 678A.460, which is the CCB's current process for adopting regulations and legislative review, and this will be replaced by the process set forth in the Administrative Procedure Act. And Section 3 makes the bill effective upon passage and approval. Thank you for your time and listening to this bill, and we are available for any questions you might have. And Chair, if it's possible, I may need to phone a friend. I know we have several people, members of the cannabis industry, that might know more specifics about any questions the committee might have.
Is that your lifeline? Okay. Just quick question. There is another bill that might be heard, and I'm just trying to I think it's Senate Bill 69.
Is that one of the Cannabis Compliance Board bills?
Yes, and I need to make sure that we're on even keel.
I did have an opportunity to see that bill as it's potentially intended to be, I guess, amended and introduced. I don't see there being any conflict in the way of this bill or even the previous bill that I presented, Senate Bill 195.
Okay, if you all can just huddle, I just want to make sure that we don't bring competing bills.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't mean now, but
Okay.
yeah, later. Committee, questions? Senator
Sorry,
Daley.
Madam Chair, if
I'm
I
sorry.
might, I think we have had that conversation, and we're pretty clear that this bill is a kind of a standalone on its bill, won't impede or help any of the other legislation that's out there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Senator Daley.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank both of you for bringing this bill. As you know, and I am always in favor of things going through the regulatory process. I believe it was in 2019, might have been 17, in the Judiciary Committee when this came forward. The reason we have the process we now, or at least some oversight, is because I objected to them excluded completely, and they met halfway on that. So I support this direction. I also support them going through the contested cases provision. There's a process in 233B, there's notice, there's a hearing, so there's due process, which is there. And then just FYI, Madam Chair, I don't see anybody else that's on Government Affairs, and I know you mentioned the Corrections, Board of Corrections. There's a bill in Government Affairs that exempts them out from being exempt. They're still exempt from the contested cases, but they have to go through the regulatory process as well. They volunteered, so I'm impressed, I'm happy. So thank you, just comment, thank you.
Additional questions? Do you have any other presenters? Okay, if you'll step back, we will be open the public hearing on Senate Bill 328. Anyone in support? Anyone in support here? Carson City? Don't see anyone moving to the table in Las Vegas. And so we will have 15 minutes, and everyone try to do 2 minutes apiece so that everybody gets a chance. And I think I may have some chocolate in my office if you comply.
Thank you. Lake Martin on behalf of the Nevada Cannabis Association, and we will say quickly that we are in support of SB 328 and appreciate the sponsors for bringing it.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Brett Scolari, Strategies 360 here on behalf of multiple cannabis clients in this space, and we also support this bill, SB 328, and sincerely appreciate Senator Titus, Senator Wynn for bringing it forward. Thank you.
Alex Stanchek on behalf of the Sierra Cannabis Coalition. Ditto.
I think see someone in Las Vegas. Support?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Kimberly Maxson Rushton. I'm an attorney with the law firm Cooper Levinson and representing RSR Analytical Testing Lab, which is a cannabis independent testing lab here in Nevada. I strongly encourage you to support and pass Senate Bill 328. 233B in the Administrative Procedures Act is an important act for administrative agencies to follow. As previously noted, it provides transparency and an easy roadmap for individuals who are interested in the regulatory process to participate. In addition, it provides clarity relative to the disciplinary process. And most importantly, as it applies to discipline, it recognizes the value of compliance. Overall, I would respectfully submit that Senate Bill 328 is not only good for licensees, but it's also good for the state. It is an administrative act that other state agencies follow. It has been demonstrated to be successful and effective, and for those reasons, I again encourage you to support 328. As always, Madam Chair, I'm happy to answer any questions that you or the committee may have.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Susan Prophet, and I'm the Vice President of the Nevada Republican Club. And I'd like to thank Ms. Titus for bringing this bill to the floor. We do need more oversight and less cronyism in this particular industry in Las Vegas. So thank you. Please pass this bill.
Anyone else in Las Vegas or here in Carson City in support? Seeing none, we'll go to those in opposition. I'm sorry, phone. Anybody on the phone in support?
If you would like to testify in support of SB 328, please press star 9 now. Take your place in the queue. The public line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
Thank you. So we'll go now to opposition. Anyone here in Carson City in opposition? Anyone in Las Vegas in opposition? Seeing none, let's go to the phones. Anyone on the phones, VPS, in opposition?
If you would like to testify in opposition to SB 328, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. The public line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
So thank you. So we'll move now to those in neutral here in Carson City and Las Vegas. Seeing none, VPS, anyone on the phones?
If you would like to testify in neutral for SB 328, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Okay, you see someone at the table in Las Vegas? Please begin when you're ready.
Good morning, Chair, members of the committee. It's Tyler Klimas here, Executive Director of the Nevada Cannabis Compliance Board. I just want to put on the record, given the amendment that was just brought up, there may be some provisions that conflict with SB 69, Chair, as you mentioned. So we'd, of course, certainly appreciate additional conversations with the bill sponsors. We have not had any outreach yet to date. Thank you.
So, quick question. Have you reached out to the sponsors of 328?
We've had some preliminary discussions, but I will certainly reach out after this hearing.
Okay, yeah, because you said that you had not had any discussions regarding 69, Senate Bill 69. So you've not talked to them about the discrepancies that you've seen?
Right, there wasn't any discrepancies until this amendment, which we had just heard about today on the subsection 6, I believe. So prior to that, there was no potential confliction.
Okay. So my suggestion is to huddle real quick, because we won't wait 40 days to process this, okay?
Of course, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else neutral? Anyone else on the phone, BPS, neutral?
There are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you. Senator Nguyen and Senator Titus. Okay.
I don't want to make her hobble up here. Rochelle Nguyen for the record. Just in response, I know that in talking with Senator Titus right now that we have done some outreach on this bill. We just received proposed language for that Senate Bill 69, I believe you referenced. So we will continue to have those kind of conversations. It's my understanding in talking with some of the working group members that there was no conflict, but again, we will wrap back around and huddle and see where there are issues or where there are not. But thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to commend you all for bringing the bill, because I was a little bit more than disturbed, the testimony that we heard from especially some of the dispensary owners about the lack of transparency and so many other things. And the thing that I want to make sure did not happen, and that is that some of the people who testified were not given a notice of inspection afterwards. And if they were on the list to be inspected prior to their conversation, it's probably a good idea to remove them anyway. Okay, so thank you. All right. And so with that, we'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 328. We've heard 381. We will go to Senate Bill 393. Revises provisions related to the dental insurance.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. For the record, I'm Senator Heidi Seifers-Gansert from District 15 in Washoe County. I'm here today to present Senate Bill 393, and with me I have Paul Klein, who will be representing the Nevada Dental Association. We have submitted an amendment, and you should have that amendment, and that's the document off which we will all be working. We worked extremely hard with the dental care coverage industry and insurance commissioner to make sure we could create an agreement that was agreeable to everyone. Oral health is a vital component of overall health and well-being. When neglected, dental issues can lead to pain, infection, tooth loss, and even systematic health problems. In many cases, those who cannot afford dental care suffer the complications that significantly impact the quality of their life. The situation can be, in turn, contribute to an increased burden on public health resources, as individuals may seek emergency care for issues that could have been prevented or managed with timely dental care. By regulating dental care coverage contracts, we can ensure that more individuals can access the necessary services to maintain their oral health, reducing the burden on emergency rooms and public health resources. SB 393, with the amendment, proposes to regulate dental care coverage contracts, particularly focused on the rates charged by insurers, organizations, or other persons providing such coverage. The bill acknowledges the need for fair pricing to ensure that dental care is accessible and affordable to all citizens. Furthermore, the bill aims to enhance transparency in the dental care coverage market by establishing reporting requirements empowering the insurance commissioner to examine the records of insurers and other entities selling dental care coverage contracts. By doing so, it seeks to ensure that these parties are operating within the defined regulatory boundaries and are not taking advantage of consumers through excessive rates. Senate Bill 393 prohibits the sale of dental care coverage contracts at which the rates are excessive, which, starting in June 1st, 2026, a loss to premium ratio under 75% is considered excessive. That dental loss ratio right now is 75%, but we've never measured it. So the insurance commissioners never had the opportunity to examine the records and be able to get that. They probably could do it, but it wasn't clear that they could access it, make sure that the dental loss ratios did not exceed the 75%. Or were under the 75%. Those provisions do not apply to small employers, which are employers who employ less than 50 employees. Insurers must report annual losses and premiums collected, and the Commissioner will calculate average ratios and identify excessive rates. The Commissioner may examine insurer records to ensure compliance, and if violations are found, the insurer must adjust rates accordingly and potentially compensate affected insureds. Insurers must keep related records for at least 5 years. Lastly, the Commissioner is required to disapprove a rate filing that includes a proposed rate that is excessive. I'd like to turn this over to Paul Klein now so he can go over some more details. But generally, this bill is about transparency and making sure that those providers of contracts are spending at least 75% on care based on the premiums. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Paul Klein with Tri-Strategies on behalf of the Nevada Dental Association. I'm hearing the word transparency a lot today. This is a good day, good hearing for transparency. That's what this bill does. So insurance right now in Nevada is required to spend at least 80% of our health premiums and 75% of our dental premiums on patient care. The rest of it, 25%, is for administrative costs, executive salaries, commercials, bonuses. Like Senator Severs-Gansert said, while insurance plans are required to report how they are meeting this requirement, dental insurance plans are not. An audit of California dental plans did find that as little as 4% of premiums was being spent on care. This audit was done between 2014 and 2016. Well, the patients there quickly moved for a transparency law, which was implemented in 2021 in California. We believe Nevadans deserve transparency on how their dental premiums are spent, and this bill ensures that. Here's the bill with the amendment, the summary in brief. 1, insurance plans spend at least 75% of our premiums in patient care. Insurance plans report that spending on care to the Nevada Division of Insurance, and then the Commissioner will order a remedy that will ensure consumers are protected. That's what this bill does in brief. We've cleaned it up to specifically focus on that transparency piece. Like Senator said, small employers are exempt from this. That's current law right now. Sections 4 through 6 of the bill essentially requires insurers to, Section 146 requires insurance to report their spending on care versus administrative costs each calendar year. The Division of Insurance will average the most 3 recent years to come up with a rolling average of the reports and then identify compliance each year before June 1st, starting in 2026. We felt that going retroactively could cause extra work for the division, so we're starting it and moving forward. Section 1.7, the Division of Insurance will publish their findings on a website for the public to view, for Nevadans to see how their premium dollars are being spent. Section 1, 8 through 9, the Division of Insurance can go further. If they want to audit, examine, look at other accounts, records of those dental plans, they can do that. And if an insurer is found out of compliance, they're not meeting the standard of the law, then the Division of Insurance can require them to make good on consumers. It could be a rate adjustment or some plan to compensate those consumers. This bill ensures Nevadans get the care they deserve for the insurance premiums they pay, putting patients before profits. Questions?
Committee, questions?
Excellent.
Thank you. You know, I've always had a question about, I think it was maybe a year and a half ago, there was, in Congress, they were going to expand Medicare or some other, and maybe even look at, for states expanding Medicaid for dental. And the uproar, I was really confused about, because it's something that would have benefited the very vulnerable patients that you spoke of, especially those who are seniors, because that's usually when it shows up. and it shows up in some really big ways because of neglect, and the neglect happens because lack of money. So I'm still kind of conflicted about that. I don't know why, and you all aren't represented. I probably should have asked the dental board, but that was something that I would have suspected that they would have been, hire a band to play and say, yeah, pass this. But anyway. So, any other presenters? No? Okay. All right, so if you step back, we'll open up the public hearing comments and support of Senate Bill 393. Anyone in Las Vegas as well? There are 3 seats here, and 2 of them are occupied. That means all 3 of them are occupied. And so we'll start here in Carson City.
Madam Chair, Richard Dragon from Gardnerville, Nevada. I am a previous past president of the Nevada Dental Association, and I am currently the chair for the Council of Government Affairs for the Nevada Dental Association. Dental loss ratio is a guarantee to patients who pay premiums for their dental coverage that a set percentage of premiums received by insurance companies is spent on patient care. We have current law in our state that was passed in 1983 that stated that 75% of all dental premiums goes to patient care. Massachusetts recently incorporated a law voted in by Massachusetts residents on DLR where 83% of the premiums must go towards patient care. This is a matter of patient protection and what we consider an expected right when patients put their trust in an insurer. Thank you for your time.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Karen Soley. I'm a dental hygienist, and I'm presenting a statement on behalf of the Nevada Dental Hygienist Board of Trustees in support for SB 393 as it is presented to you today. Thank you.
Madam Chair, committee members, my name is Dr. Mark Funke. I too am a past president of Nevada Dental Association, currently sit on our Council on Government Affairs. I am in favor of SB 393. Of the people who have insurance, approximately only 50 to 70% of them actually use that insurance. And of that, apparently only 6% even reach their maximum allowance. So the rhetorical question is, if there's monthly dues going in here, yes, we have administrative costs, where's all the other money going? So I am in favor of SB 393. Thank you.
Additional persons in support? VPS, anyone on the phone?
There are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you. So we'll move now to those in opposition. Those in opposition of Senate Bill 393. Carson City, Las Vegas. Don't see anyone moving to the tables. BPS, anyone on the phone?
If you would like to testify in opposition to SB 393, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. The public line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
Thank you. We'll move now to those in neutral. Anyone neutral here in Carson City and Las Vegas? Don't see anyone moving to the table. BPS, anyone on the phone?
If you would like to testify in neutral for SB 393, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
BPS, anyone there?
Hi, Madam Chair and committee members. My name is Matt Steele with the Association of Dental Support Organizations. I was trying to testify in support of the bill. I think I got ousted out of the queue. So this testimony, for the record, is in support of SB 393. If it's okay to proceed forward with that?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Association of Dental Support Organizations is a nonprofit organization committed to providing support to our members through affiliated dentists to focus on patients, expanding access to quality dental care, and improving the oral health of their communities. Our members provide the highest level of non-clinical support to more than 11,000 dentists at more than 6,000 supported practices across the country. In Nevada, we have 99 supported offices, 86 dentists, and 172 hygienists. Our affiliated dentists and hygienists have served over 66,000 patients in Nevada to date. And we are here, as I mentioned, to offer our support for SB 393. As all of you know, MLR is not new. It is mandated of major medical plans in the Affordable Care Act. This MLR legislation will ensure premium transparency applies to dental plans in the same way it applies to medical plans. Nevada law establishing MLR, we believe, will ensure that dental plans are more transparent and ultimately will best serve the dental care of Nevada patients throughout the state. Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members.
Thank you. Can you spell your name, please?
Matthew Steele, Matthew Steele.
Thank you. BPS, anyone else on the lines?
There are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Okay. Thank you, Senator Gansert. I'm sorry, Senator Severs-Gansert.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I appreciate your consideration of this bill. It's about transparency. As was mentioned, the DLR, the percentage has been in statute for a very long time, and this will provide accountability as well. So I appreciate your support on the measure. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 393 and open the hearing on Senate Bill 437. Senate Bill 437 deals with the board certified public accountants.
Thank you, Chair.
Begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair Spearman and the committee. We appreciate the opportunity to go through this bill with you. My name is Vicki Winfelt, and I'm the Executive Director of the Nevada State Board of Accountancy, and I'll make this very quick. Going through the various sections of the bill and their intent. Section 1, it adds firms to the definition of practice of public accounting. Section 2 are conforming changes to comply with the Uniform Accountancy Act, and changes the requirement to 1 year of public accounting experience with governmental and industry included. A quick note regarding that section, there are currently 45 states that have had this particular language in their laws for many years, and so Nevada would be complying with what other states are doing as well. Section 3 is a cleanup language that moves information over to what we do through licensure rather than through the examination process. Section 4, currently the law requires us to charge a fee for the exam, and this particular section would allow us to not charge a fee or waive it for certain individuals. In particular, the intent was for military individuals, and that would be veterans, spouses, and active military, that we could waive the fee for the exam for these individuals under that section. Section 5 allows the board to waive certain requirements for individuals that are physically locating to Nevada under reciprocity. And currently, the way the law reads is that we can only waive it if they've been licensed and practicing in public accounting for 4 of the last 10 years. This language would broaden that so that it would be licensed and practicing in industry, governmental, or public accounting. And then section 6 through 21, those are all conforming changes to remove the requirement for out-of-state firms to register with the board. And in 2009, the board adopted what's considered individual mobility, cross-border practice, or what's referred to as practice privilege. And that allows individuals to cross-border practice without having to register or get licensed. but it required firms that provide audit, review, or full disclosure compilations to get a one-page registration with the board. And so what these sections do is remove that requirement so that there's firm mobility as well as individual mobility. And then that would allow the firms to enter the state, perform those services without having to go through the registration process. Currently, there's 33 jurisdictions and states that have firm mobility, 2 with, including ours, with active legislation. There's 54 jurisdictions that have individual mobility. And again, as I had said, we've had individual mobility without any issue since 2009. And that's the rest of my testimony. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to help.
Chair and members of the committee, thank you. My name's Karen Peterson. I'm the board's counsel, and we had 2 real minor amendments we would like to propose to the bill, and it's just cleanup and clarification. We sent them to LCB Legal right when the bill came out, and we also put them on Nellis yesterday, so hopefully everybody has those. The first one is for Section 5. It's on page 4, line 38. There was some language added, we didn't propose this, that says financial services industry, and it's for those CPAs that are coming into our state and want to be licensed in our state. The industry experience that we would look at, right now, the way the bill is proposed, it limits it only to financial services industry experience CPAs, and we would want to consider any industry CPA, whether it's like a gaming industry CPA or a manufacturing industry CPA or a mining industry CPA. So we would like to delete the words "the financial services" in Section 5, page 4, line 38. And then also in Section 6, line 39, this is the provision that has to do with discipline for firms coming into our state. And this subsection 2 right now says that if the firm's license in the other state becomes invalid or not in good standing, that they cease practicing public accounting, and it doesn't limit it to in this state. We only have jurisdiction in this state, and so this would make this section consistent with subsection 1 before it. And that's all the proposed amendments.
Thank you. Committee members, questions? So, just want to understand, so will this still require firms to be registered?
Only those firms that are located in the state. So in-state firms would still require registration, out-of-state firms would not. They have to be active and in good standing in their home jurisdiction, so it's really just a cross-border practice type of a thing. They're not physically locating here.
And so this is just like temporary, just coming in to audit or?
Exactly.
Something like that. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, I don't see any questions, so if you all will just step back, we will open for public comment. Those in support of Senate Bill 437 here in Carson City. Don't see anyone moving to the tables in Vegas. Yes.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Anna Durst. I'm the CEO of the Nevada Society of CPAs. We have issued through Nellis a letter of support, and I ditto the comments of the bill presenter.
Thank you. Anyone else? Carson City, support? Vegas? BPS, anyone on the phones?
If you would like to testify in support of SB 437, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. The public line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
Thank you. So we'll move now to those in opposition. Don't see anyone moving to the table in Las Vegas or Carson City. BPS, anyone on the phones?
If you would like to testify in opposition to SB 437, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. There are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
So we'll move now to those in neutral. No one's moving to the table here or Vegas. BPS, anyone on the phones?
If you would like to testify in neutral for SB 437, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. The public line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
Okay, so any closing comments? I have a question too. It's a real easy one, and maybe I missed it. So the firms that are out of state don't have to register because they're licensed and in good standing in their state. Is there any way to verify?
Yes, there is. There's multiple ways. There's a national database that all of the state boards funnel all of their information over to, and it's called CPA Verify, and we can verify all of the 55 jurisdictions information. I believe Hawaii is the only one. They're still working on their data feed, but you can verify there, and you can verify at their individual websites as well.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? So this is one we didn't have any opposite. We didn't have anybody talking, period, except me. We're going to close the hearing on Senate Bill 437. I'd like to vote this out today. Entertain a motion. Okay, so you have a motion from Vice Chair Lang with the amendments. Amend and do pass. Have any other motion? Do I have a second? Second. Have a second from Senator Scheibel. Further discussion? All those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no. And the motion carries. So thank you. So we will assign the floor statement to Senator Buck. Yeah, so I think we've processed through our entire agenda. We will be back tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. And then again on Friday at 8 o'clock, and we're going to try to finish out all the bills that have come before us. And most of the people have left the committee room right now, but if you are listening, and I suggested that you get with bill sponsors, I would encourage you to do so sooner rather than later, because by the time Sunday comes, it'll be too late. So with that, we are now adjourned. I'm sorry. Oh, public comment. Thank you, Vice Chair. Anyone for public comment? Here, Las Vegas, BPS, anyone on the phones?
If you would like to provide public comment, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. The public line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
Thank you. And so with that, now we are adjourned. See you back here tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. We're adjourned.